There's an old adage that you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and this is never more true than an interview. If this interview is a game, a part we're playing, that game starts the minute we get to the place where we're being interviewed. It has already started when you are sitting in the waiting room waiting. It started when you went to reception and introduced yourself, because everyone who works there knows that there's interviews taking place, and that at the end of this process, one of these people is going to be working with us. There'll be a person we will see for every day for the next little while in our lives. They will become central to our lives. So it's not just the interview people who are making an assessment here. Everybody is. You're sitting in the chair in the waiting room waiting for your interview. People walking past you will stop, look you up and down. Am I going to be working with that person into the future? Everybody's making assessments. If you are rude to the receptionist will tell the interviewers, and your likability factor will be killed and you will not get the job. The game starts when we first get there. Now eventually, while you're in the waiting room, one of the interviewers will come out and get you. We will shake hands. We will take the lead in that shaking of hands. We will do so not in an aggressive, authoritative way. I'm not trying to impress people by crushing their knuckles. What's as important as the shaking of hands is the eye contact and the smile on the face. Pleased to meet you. Contact, connection, likability. That's the purpose in shaking hands. Now, we take the lead in the shaking of hands. It saves us two problems. It saves us getting caught sawing wood. I think we've all been caught sawing wood before today, where we're waiting for the other person's hand and there's a few false starts and your hand's going backwards and forwards. You could have sawed through a log by the time the hand actually comes. Or even worse, they go first, you go second, you get there late, and they grab your fingers. So this is your first impression, the wet fish handshake. Ah, great. Excuse me, can we shake hands again? I think I can do a little bit better than that. The shaking of hand actually works better over difference. The boss is a woman. She's coming out to interview me. A question she must have on her mind is, can Philip work with a female boss? She comes out, I smile, hi, pleased to meet you. I offer my hand, I take the lead in that. I'm halfway past answering that question. I have demonstrated the respect necessary to say that I'm quite comfortable working with a female boss. The boss is a different culture, different colour, different background altogether. They come out to get me. A question they've got on their mind. Can Philip work with me as their boss? They come towards me, I smile, I offer my hand, eye contact, connection. I'm halfway past that problem. We're now in the first 3 minutes. It's an important time, the first 3 minutes. A lot of research has been done that says interviews are actually decided in the first 3 minutes. What they did was they stopped a lot of interviews at various points and they asked the interviewers, what's your impression? Before 3 minutes, they said it's too early to have an impression. But at 3 minutes, they could articulate an impression. This person's going well, this person's not going well. Now, that impression wasn't set in concrete, and you do get a chance to change it later on in the interview, but they had formed an impression after 3 minutes. Let's use that 3 minutes then. The problem with that is, at interview, the first 3 minutes is often spent in the introductions, in them talking to you about the process, and also the small talk. Now, you would recognise the small talk at interview. Did you find a park okay? This is small talk. Did you get caught in the rain? What's the weather like out there? They said it's going to be hot later today. Did you come by car or by public transport? This is small talk at interview. The small talk at interview, it's a bit like asking a colleague, how are you? And they say, well, I've had a headache for a few days now and I'm getting quite concerned about it. I think I'm going to go see the doctor about my headache. Did I tell you I fell over last week and I twisted my ankle? I've been limping for days now and that's not getting better any better either. I got this rash on my elbow, at which point you're thinking to yourself, stop, what are you telling me this for? All I said was, how are you? The answer was, fine, thank you, and move on. We ask, but we don't want to know. The small talk at interview, it's exactly the same. It's small talk. They ask, but they don't want to know. You can use the small talk to your advantage. Remember our plan here. Every single question we're asked, what's the best use of the question to me? Not the right answer, the best use of the question. We should apply that to the small talk. I saw a young man asked once, did you find the place okay? He said, well, I'm a little bit nervous about today's interview. I do tend to get nervous for interviews. And so what I did was I drove past last night, so I knew exactly where to come today, and that's one pressure I didn't have today. Okay, smart. There's the forethought that you planned, that you drove past, that you were never going to be late, that you know exactly where to come, and that in itself took stress off you. That's a really good thing to get over. But at the same time, if you can fit it into the small talk, I'm a little bit anxious, I'm a little bit nervous. It is direct code for this job is important to me. We are not nervous for the jobs that we don't want. You're going for a job you don't particularly want it. You're not nervous, you're rocking the interview, you display your sense of humour, you get on famous with the people, the likability's up, they really like you, they offer you the job. How come I keep getting jobs I don't want? You really want the job, you tighten up, you go in there, you're concentrating on the right answers, your personality's not coming through, you're not making those connections. It frustrates me that people go for jobs that they don't want much better than they do for the jobs that they actually want. After the small talk, they're going to ask you the first real question. And in the next episodes from here, we're going to go through all the major question groups on what the right answers are. When they ask you this, say this, because it will work on most occasions. But before we get to that, I just want to show you how to work a panel. You're being interviewed, let's say you're being interviewed by 3 people. What happens is the boss sits in the middle. The boss was the one who came out and got you. Who introduced you to the others? The boss asked the first question. This is stock standard stuff. Now, the boss asks you the first question, so you answer to the boss. After that question, the person on the boss's left asks you a question. The problem becomes that the fact that the boss is obviously the boss, the power of being the boss becomes like a magnet and it starts attracting people back again. So this person asks you a question and you say, right, and you answer to the boss. What you've done is you've just dismissed this person. You've just been rude to this person, and this person notices and doesn't like you. Later they will speak against you. In a moment, the person on the right of the boss asks you a question. So you hear the question, and again the magnet, the power of the boss, attracts you back. You answer to the boss. Now you've been rude to this person. That's 2 people on a 3-people panel you've been rude to. 2 people speaking against you. The boss doesn't like it either, because the reason they share the questions around is deliberately to share this focus around. So there's a little game we can play here, and it's really beneficial to you. The boss asks you the first question. You answer to the boss. After each major point, you try and catch this person's eyes. You try and catch this person's eyes. Sometimes you won't get their eyes because they'll be busy writing down your answer. But as you hope to go through the answer, you hope to catch this person's eyes at least once to let them know I'm also talking to you, and catch this person's eyes once, I'm also talking to you. After that answer, the boss says, this person's got a question for you now, and directs you to one of the other people. What I want you to do at this point is, very simply, pick yourself up in your chair. Put yourself down in exactly the same position and move your head 20 degrees. You're giving the focus to this person. You answer to this person. After each major point, you try and catch the boss's eyes. You try and catch this person's eyes. I don't actually move, because if I move, I'll actually turn my back on the person at the other extremity. I don't want to do that. So I just want to my body language to say to them, I am now changing my focus. I am now answering to you because you are important to me. In a little while, the person on my left is going to ask me a question. Again, I'm going to pick myself up, put myself down in exactly the same spot and give my attention to this person. You are now important to me. I will try and catch the boss's eyes. I will try and catch the other person's eyes as I go through the answer. But the residual focus will be to this person. You give your attention to the person who asked the question.